evening. Welcome to Live and Conversation. We are back. So I'm excited. I'm happy. We've been in a break, but then we are now back. So I am live. I'm Daphnée Antoine. I am an entrepreneur sharing resources to our families and entrepreneur thrive. And I am live with attorney Daphnée Camilien. Hello, Daphnée.
Hello, hello. It's good to be back.
Awesome. It's good to have you back. It's good to be back as well. So, today is a special show. It is Women History Month, so we're going to focus on that. So, with that being said, we have a new setup, we have a new format, and so we are ready and excited to share great information with you all. So, come on in, join the live, share it, because it's definitely gonna be very valuable to you and to your friends. As always, before we start, let's get started with our disclosure.
Sure. So, I'm an attorney, and anything I say here today is for information purposes only. It does not enter anyone into an attorney client relationship with myself. Renee is a financial entrepreneur. Anything she says tonight it does not create a fiduciary duty on her behalf with anyone who hears information. Our discussions this evening are for information purposes only. Back to you, Daphne.
All right, awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that. Before we started, how have you been? How's life? Happy New Year!
Yep. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yes, to you all.
Yep. It's good. It's good. Busy as ever.
Amazing, amazing. So as we are starting Women's History Month, we think that it was good to share Haitian women who are making stride or either in history or present. So I'm going to share a Haitian warrior with you all from the Haitian Revolution. Her name is Sanité Belair, and then later on we're going to have a professional spotlight to share with you all a conversation with a woman who is making stride presently. So that being said, let me go into that. A quick presentation about Sanité Belair. I'm going to quickly share my screen to tell you all about her, and obviously Daphne, you and I will be able to share our thought.
Okay.
All right. That's what happened when you have a million and one thing open. Yep, I'm right here. Can you all see my screen?
I
So
can
this
hear.
is I'm gonna be reading from Ken Kake page. She shared about Sanité Belair. She's a Haitian revolutionary, and this is a zigoud, which is a dime. I wouldn't say it's technically a dime, but it's 10 cents. So zigoud is 10 cents in honor of Sanité Belair due to her work in Haiti. So this is about her. They refer to her as the Tigress of Haiti. And this was actually Jean-Jacques Dessalines who called her the Tigress of Haiti. So I'm just going to quickly read it for you all about who is Sanité Belair. Her name was Suzanne, actually. So she was born Suzanne Belair, a Haitian freedom fighter and a revolutionary during the Haitian Revolution. Sanité, whom Dessalines described as a tigress, is formally recognized by the Haitian government as a national heroine of Haiti. So, as I mentioned earlier, the zigu, the money that I showed you all earlier, she actually was recognized with that for her work in 2004 when Haiti celebrated the 200-year anniversary, so bicentennial of Haiti. So Haiti became an independent nation on January 1st, 1804. January 1st, 1804. So in 2004, she was honored by placing her image on the zigzag of the Haitian money. So she was born or believed to be born in 1781 in Latibonite. So Latibonite, I would say kind of like maybe south of Haiti. Um, so she was born in affranchi. So what an affranchi is a person of color who is free. So she was not born as a slave. She was a free person of color, and then mixed race as well. And then some people would say mulatto, but then they call it affranchi. So in Saint Domingue. So the reason it says Saint Domingue is because Haiti was not technically an independent nation in Haiti yet. So right now, the whole island was Saint Domingue, and then eventually it got divided into half being Haiti and half being present day Santo Domingo. Um, and I'm saying Santo Domingo, Republic, Dominican Republic.
Right. Yeah.
I
Like
don't know
Saint
why
Domingue.
Santo Domingo.
No, you think it's Saint Domingue? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, with Dominican Republic. That's what I meant to say. All right. So when I didn't really know about her. I would say until maybe last year, what we were doing. I'm sure you were part of that conversation. We wanted to learn, celebrate, and honor Haitian heroine who participated in the Haitian Revolutionary, and she was the person that I selected to speak about. And then she was only 15 when she married her husband Charles Belair. And then so Charles Belair was a lieutenant and nephew of Toussaint Louverture. Toussaint Louverture is like the hero of the Haitian independence movement. And then so I guess she was close to leadership. So that being said, even though she was the husband of of Charles Belair, she herself was a sergeant and lieutenant of the French troops of Saint Domingue. So she was in charge. She was front and center, leading and being a sergeant and being a lieutenant. And then I guess her uprising was in the Latibourin area where she was from. So eventually she was captured by the French army, and then we can go into that in later time, but it's complicated of how she was surrender she didn't surrender, of how she was captured and found. But unfortunately she was sentenced to death on October 5th, 1802, and she was sentenced to death by decapitation. However, it was both of her husbands. So her husband was sentenced to death by firing squad. And so since she saw herself as a surgeon, as a warrior, as a leader, she fought to be executed by a firing squad, and she was able to, and then I guess they were able to do that. And as she walked to her death, she said, "Vive liberté en bas esclavage." So "Vive liberté en bas esclavage" means liberty no to slavery. So to conclude, the sources on the Black Jacobins, CLR James. And then so to conclude, Sanitabilia did really play a major role in during the Haitian Revolution, and therefore we honor her this evening. We celebrate her bravery, and we hope that she can be an example for the many leaders, upcoming leaders,
And
young or
therefore, we
old.
honor her this evening. Sorry, we celebrate feedback. Her bravery, and we hope that she can be an example. Sorry about that.
Me?
I don't know
Oh
why
no, no,
feedback.
that's I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, there's my
Okay.
Hold on. I'm not sure why it's doing that. But go ahead.
Okay. Oh, by the way, were you able to share hello to everyone who's joining us?
Yep. That's
shout-
exactly what I was trying to do, share, and it was giving me feedback. So.
Oh, okay. Wait, did you do it?
Yeah, let me see. Hold on. Put me on mute. Go ahead.
Okay. So while Daphnée is sharing, Daphnée Camilien is sharing, I just want to say hi to Shalon and to my sister Christine, who I want to give a shout out to. Happy birthday. Yesterday was your birthday. I love you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. So for those of you watching, let us know what is your thought on Sanité Belair, and share with us any other pioneer in Haitian history or present day that you want to share with us so we can future them at a later show. So this month, that's all we're going to do. Share historical facts about women in Haitian history who are pioneers, and as well as spotlight professional currently who are making a way, paving a way, and showing us the way to success. All right. Okay, so Shalon say happy birthday, Christine. And she said it's my first time hearing her. You see? And it is her first time hearing her. And I also want to give a shout out to Sensei Aishi Tematsu. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your name. She has a YouTube channel, and she also talk about Sanitabilia to our audience, and I wanted to give a shout out for that. So we don't want to keep the time. So right now, Daphne, anything you want to add as we go to the attorney segment?
You mean regarding Ms. Blair? Oh
Yes.
no, I just think it was courageous for her to do. First of all, she was so young, and then
Yes,
um,
exactly.
yeah, to have so much courage, and then also for as a woman at that time period to be fighting along with the men was huge. So yeah, no, that was a great part of history to read about and to learn. You're on mute, so we can't hear you.
I am on you. Awesome. So at this time, gonna present to you all attorney Daphnée Camilien for the attorney segment. Bring your questions, share the live. Let us know what question that you all have.
Sure. So, just to kind of just talk to you about a couple of things that are going on in immigration news right now. The first is that the country of Sudan has been, or the people of Sudan, I should say, not the country, has been given the designation of TPS, which is temporary protected status. For those who know or don't know, temporary protected status is given to a country that has been dealing with either some type of natural disaster, or given to the people of that country who are in the United States currently who can't go back to their country because their country has been dealing with some type of natural disaster, some type of war, things of that nature. And the United States will designate people from the country, Sudan, will allow them to stay here. Those who don't have any type of status will kind of give them some type of relief by allowing them to stay in the country temporarily, thus the name temporary protected status, while the things that are going on with their country, I guess, get sorted out. So TPS has been designated to Sudan, excuse me. And the next thing that I want to talk about briefly is that the USCIS immigration has a rule out now that if you are applying for example, a green card or some type of benefit that requires you to get some type of physical examination, you have to show that you have the COVID vaccine. So if this is, I give you a most common example is, let's say you have a family member, they're filing for someone for a green card, and the person is in the United States, and they're telling them that they have to go get a physical exam. Before they can go to the doctor to get the physical exam, they have to be COVID vaccinated. If they're overseas, before they go to get the consular processing, and they have to get a physical exam, and they will have to have the same thing, the COVID vaccination. It's not just have it, they have to have the paperwork proving that they have the COVID vaccination. There are a little bit of exceptions when you're overseas and you don't have access to the COVID vaccination, but you would check with your consulate for the exceptions. The other thing is, if you're a person who, give example, in the United States and you object to the vaccination, there are exceptions. You can object based on moral or religious reasons. But if you're saying that you don't want the vaccination, you have to prove that you have a religious exception or a moral exception. You can't just say I don't want the vaccine for that. You would have to also fill out a waiver. So you'd have to fill out an application saying that you don't want to do these things. And then the waiver, just so you know, also costs $930. So it's kind of, you can take it however you feel, however you feel. Yeah, $930 on top of what other fees. Yeah, it's a lot of money on top of whatever fees that you are have already spent. But yeah, it's an additional $930 to fill out this waiver, and it's not guaranteed that you'll be accepted. Once again, it's not just a simple application. It may look like it. You actually have to prove that you have this exception or that you have these moral convictions. For example, if you have been vaccinated before your whole life, and this is the first vaccine that you are saying that you're not doing because of whatever your beliefs are, that's not enough. They're looking for like you've never had vaccinations in your life. So there's so many different. So I would just recommend that you reach out to an attorney if this is something that you believe in, just because you want to make sure that if you're going to do this application, that you're well informed and that you actually, you have proof, because you don't want to spend the money through the application and be denied because you didn't provide the proper information. But that's obviously something new because we're in a new COVID. COVID's been around for the past 2 years. And so this has come up recently with the USCIS, with immigration, basically. So that's back to you, Renee. That's all I have right now for immigration news. Yeah, you're on mute.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So it's great that Sudan is able to get the temporary people from Sudan is able to get the temporary protected status. So hopefully that's something that a lot of people can take advantage of. So with that being said, the vaccine news, let's see how people feel about it. So I do not want to take a lot of time from our professional spotlight. I did mention that I want to share just one quick resources with you all. So for those of you who are entrepreneurs, who are business owners, in the Chicagoland area, there's gonna be a small business expo going on. And then so if you want to have your products, your business to market it to a large group of people, you can go ahead and register as a vendor for the small business expo that's going to be taking place at University of Chicago of Illinois. And if we have time, I will share I will share it with you all, but nonetheless, I will add it in the comment. So for those of you who are business owners, there's gonna be a small business expo going on, and take advantage of that so you can expose your business. So without further ado, I have the privilege and honor of presenting to you all a senior economist and economic advisor. But not only that, she is a wife, she is a mother, she is a philanthropist. Oh, not to forget an art and fashion connoisseur, as well as a YouTuber. So, for all of you watching, please welcome this evening Dr. Maude Toussaint-Comeau. Hello, Dr. Toussaint-Comeau. How are you doing this evening?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much. It's really
Thank you for
wonderful to join
coming
you guys.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Sure.
So, I'm gonna tell the people exactly why you are here, because this is Women History Month, and we are celebrating Haitian American female pioneers, people who are just excelling in the field and who can be an example and inspiration for not only the youth but also the current generation. So Daphnée and I are gonna ask you a few questions, and for those of you watching, please share this live. And if you have any questions for Dr. Toussaint-Comeau, let us know as well. You want to get started? Maybe the first question, Daphnée?
Sure. So first off, let's start off. You grew up in Haiti, right?
Pardon me?
you grew up in Haiti, right?
Yes, I did. I came here when I was 15.
Okay. And how? Give me a little bit of background of like, how did you feel when you came here? Your thoughts, because you were a teenager, so you were probably going right into high school, right?
Yes.
So what was the transition like?
The transition was seamless, because when you grow up and my mom came, one of the things with immigration, you are immigration, and especially from the Caribbean, is that the women tend to move first because perhaps of lack of opportunity in the home country and other reasons. But, and then immigrants also tend to be self-selected in terms of, being entrepreneurial and just taking chances. And I have to say that women in particular tend to move from the Caribbean first, like from Jamaica, they come here to be as nurse, and from Haiti and so forth. So consistent with that trend, my mom was the first in the family to move, and she followed my aunts previously and so forth. So clearly, when your mom is in the US, is sending you beautiful dresses that everyone envy, your whole dream is to be in the US. So, regardless of how happy you were, like I was, it was at a time in Haiti when you had a relative middle class, and being in private school and so forth, and having a parent here, I was sort of middle class. But even so, I was too happy to just come here.
In the US.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what was your what was your dream? Like, what did you dream about to become when you were older? You know, as a child, and did you fulfill that?
Unfortunately, I would have to say that we don't grow up in a culture of thinking about employment later.
Yeah.
You know, like perhaps it's seen as boasting, for example, to ask someone, what's your profession? Whereas here, the first thing you ask someone when you
Yeah.
meet with them is, what are you doing? What do you do? They're too happy to tell you. But I don't think you can go to a party in Haiti and just, that's the first question you ask him.
Right.
So I think, the most that we get exposed to as we growing up is perhaps the parents going to the doctors and so forth, and sort of wanting their kids to be doctors. So, we didn't have career day and so forth. I cannot say that when I was super young, I was ever thinking about career. We were so engrossed with the French literature and, the chansonnettes françaises. Our head wasn't really into thinking of that. But I have to say that when I started thinking a little bit about that, perhaps later, I have to say I became interested with the idea of world international communication. And I remember thinking at some point that working in a place like the United Nations, maybe, being a translator or something like that, would be something very nice to do.
And Dr. Toussaint-Comeau, I forgot to ask you to introduce yourself. I know I gave you a brief introduction, but then maybe you can give us a little details as to who is Dr. Toussaint-Comeau and what is she doing now.
Well, professionally, as you say, I'm a senior economist, so an economic advisor. So I am with the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, but clearly none of the things I'm saying, is we're supposed to do a disclaimer, is endorsed by the Fed. So I'm
Yes,
like
yes.
speaking for myself, obviously. So that's sort of my profession. And, I basically have a bachelor, a master's, and a PhD in economics. And my focus has been labor economics applied economics, which basically mean I am interested in the condition of people, of economic agent. So that's kind of what the type of research I do. like whether it be looking at wages, pay differential by women, by minorities, just things like that. These are the type of example of question that a micro economist would ask, as opposed to a macro economist that's looking more at things like inflation and things like that, and exchange rates.
Thank you kindly for clarifying that. Daphne, you want to ask the next question, or you want me to go for
Sure.
it?
I kind of wanted to follow
Yes,
up. Yeah.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, anything else, now I'm not an open book since I became a self-made influencer.
No,
I tell you my set of the day, even, my outfit of the day. But what's been most important to me, to be honest, was when I studied this thing, was to sort of, put a light on the, cultural production of Haiti, because I've been an Haitian art collector for like 30 years. And I really, during the pandemic, everyone was going through their own epiphany. And I'm like, okay, why not I show people art and things like that, and anything that in my collections. So I sort of started talking about art, but I knew people weren't so much interested in art. And for some reason, people are obsessed with fragrances.
I think we're having a
So I
delay.
started doing this very unique thing where I talk about fragrances, but I sort of somehow mix that together,
Dr. Como, the
create an
connection is bad
intersection
right
between
now.
art
I'm not sure if you can hear
and
us.
sense, because it's part of people's sense.
Can you hear us?
You getting me?
Yeah, it's the connection is a little delayed, so I'm not sure if you are hearing us okay, but it's delay when you're speaking. Daphne,
Yeah. Can you hear us?
can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but it's delayed. So let's try to go to this next question and see. So hopefully it's better. I think it's like freeze a little. It's like you're frozen.
Can you? It's delayed.
Yeah, it's delayed.
Can you? I wanted to kind of because I didn't hear what she was saying about. I heard she was an art collector for 30
I am
years.
hearing you.
Okay, I heard you were an art collector for 30 years. You said, and you wanted to, but I didn't hear. It kind of went in and out afterwards. What did you say after
Close.
that?
All right, yeah. So thank you for your patience. Okay, I think she's back. She is back. Hello, welcome back.
Hi. I don't know. I just walked
Okay.
around my house to find a stronger internet thing. So.
Yeah, it's much better now. Thank you for doing that.
Great.
I was saying, I heard you say that you were an art collector for over 30 years.
So you want to continue the questions?
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said after. You said you were an art collector for 30 years. I was interested in what you were saying about being an art collector for 30 years.
I think when you were delayed, we didn't hear you correctly. So let's how about we just go to the next question and then see if that exactly what you were trying to say, because we didn't hear you correctly. So you in economics, okay? And then, so what advice do you have for maybe a young person who's considering your career um, path?
Well, economics is so huge, but before all, it is a social science. It is interested in human condition. So it's really someone who is interested in the condition of people, and it's an intersection of perhaps sociology, political economy, not just numbers. Economics is not just about the money. I think a lot of people hear the word economy, perhaps that's what, you know,
Yeah,
and
associate.
they're thinking purely money or interest rate, but it's really a social science, and we are interested in seriously every aspect of human condition that could, the ultimate thing is, can that have an impact on the economy and on people's well-being? So we will study that. So someone who is interested in in a narrative of the human condition, but is really good to be an economist. Now, in practical terms, because of the tools that economists use, the scientific method we use, you really need a lot of math. Like, we don't necessarily do a lot of surveys, although my particular research, I like to hear the stories from people. I like the narrative. So I would want to hear stories from people. But ultimately, you know, economics really use a lot of math. So you, to be a good economist, you also want to be interested in math. But to be a great economist, you also want to be interested in the human condition.
That's very well
And
said.
you and in the profession, is there a lot of Black women? Is there a lot of women? Is there a need for more women? Is has it changed? What have you seen your career span as far
Oh
as
my God.
yeah?
I mean, I think 2 years ago, the American Economic Association, put out a survey of the condition of minority and women in the economic profession. And I have to say that it was the most dire situation that you could ever come up with. So there are really very, very few Black women PhD economists in the country. And I have to say that my career even kind of sort of starting off when I extended myself to help, in my case, to sort of bring that to bear and to help the economic as a field to sort of support women in the profession. And that was something that people really sort of appreciated. I think they expected I was going to be like, oh my God, I'm not happy in it. But I felt like it was a profession that needed the voice of women so much, of minorities so much, that it is really an economic imperative. It's not so much like a human thing as much as it is an economic imperative, because when you have more diversity in a field like economics, you need people to bring their true experience to really come up with policy that can really solve people's problem, people's issue. And if you don't have the diversity, you just hearing it from just one white male voice, you may be missing a lot on what's maximum or optimal for the economy.
How do you get in the field? So like, you said you had your bachelor's, master's, and your PhD in economics. For a person who doesn't, two questions. For a person who's in college and they're interested in possibly getting in this field, if they're majoring in sociology, do they need to switch over to economics? Or if you have a person who graduated in undergrad in like I got a degree in psychology, and I also have a degree in law and society. If I wanted to, switch over to economics, could I, or do I have to go back and get a master's in economics?
Oh, totally. I mean, I would venture to say that a bachelor in economics is probably the least useful. I know it's weird. You know, it's weird to say that, but ultimately, seriously, if you have a bachelor in computer science, you have a bachelor in math, you have a bachelor, in they're going to take you in a
Mm-hmm.
graduate program in economics. The point is, solid graduate program in this country in economics is going to require the math requirement. So whatever you major in, ideally you want the math.
Okay.
That's kind of the plain truth about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah.
Okay.
But definitely any major you can always go into graduate education in economics, like political science, sociology, psychology, you name it.
So it sounds like you're saying you need to have that master's degree to get into the profession, right? Or to excel in the profession.
Well, here's the thing with, like, you might see there are people, like, depending on their job, they may have a title of economist, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And from basically the experience that they have, and it's possible to be in a job and have a title of economist without necessarily having a PhD in economics, right? But when you are, let's say, a research PhD economist, the difference is that you are coming up with um, original intellectual production.
Okay.
That's what going to the PhD essentially. That's a doctor in philosophy. That means, that's when you are coming up with original ideas or measurement or explanation for economic problems. That's a little bit different. But you can exercise somehow some form of profession where you are, an economist from just the experience of, let's say, doing a lot of the data. So if you're doing a lot of data and analysis, even with a master, you actually can be a business, something that they call business economist, or you can be a policy economist. If you have a strong experience with a master's in public policy, you could be hired as a, business economist or a policy economist. But to be, like a research economist in an institution, that higher PhD economists, then that's when you actually have the PhD.
Now, I'm sorry, I don't want to monopolize you. But I had one more
No,
question.
it's fine. It's fine. I mean, it's fine. Go ahead.
So I'm just curious. I'm thinking about the person who maybe wasn't introduced to the profession, and this is the first time they're seeing someone in the profession. How would you say, like, just so I get a good, clear understanding, would somebody in your position be the type of person that studies, like, maybe like pay disparity, and then, like, between women and men, or between, like, you hear about all the time, like, women are paid less, I think it's like 78 cents or whatever, and then they go down and they break it down by race, paid less than men. Would that be something that you guys would do as far as research wise, or no?
100%. This is
Okay.
what the labor economist would do. Because the labor economist is totally interested in anything that has to do with employment, which means also, wages and occupation. So these are definitely within the realm of someone who specializes in this type of topics of labor economics. And I happen to be one of those people. So if you were to look at, my research portfolio, you would see that I have published paper on occupational mobility, occupational assimilations of immigrants. I've focused on that to sort of understand how long it takes immigrants to progress in the labor market in this country and things like that. That's actually was my dissertation, earning differences among Haitian, Cuban, and Jamaican in the US and in Canada. So, that actually was my dissertation title.
Oh, see, things like that interest me, but I don't know if I'm a nerd or not. But that stuff like that really, really interests me.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
So when I studied, Haitians and immigrants, A lot of immigrant economies tend to sort of study those type of issues, and but I was fortunate enough to get hired precisely because I studied immigrant communities, because we were at a time when we were looking at banking access of different groups, and we were noticing that immigrants were not partaking in formal financial markets in this country as much as we expected, and we wanted to understand why. Is it because of preferences, or is it because of some form of discrimination and disparity in access? So I actually was hired as given my dissertation that was looking at immigrant communities.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, so what did you find? And that's my last question.
That was like what? Yes.
What I found on what?
On why immigrants weren't participating in the financial institutions.
Well, keeping in mind that that particular research was done quite a while back,
right.
But I have actually continued looking at the data every year when the FDIC come with their unbanked survey, and there's still every year, so there's still disparity in financial market participation by groups. That's the situation for Blacks, that's the situation for immigrants. There's less participation in financial markets. So before it was like, is it preference or something? And to me, what over the years that, especially when now that technology is changed, you have mobile banking, you have all form of technological change, I think really the big determinant is differences in income. That to me is really the real issue, that it can be a little bit costly to or you just don't have the income. That's why you don't have a saving account. I find, to me, that's so far that's the most sort of compelling result in the research. It's really the connection between disparities in income, especially we know that over time, middle class are being squeezed, and, people's economic condition has deteriorated. And I think that is probably a bigger part of the explanation of differences in financial market participation.
That's very interesting.
Just to maybe clarify on it, so was the focus only on the disparity in banking, or did you focus on something else as well?
You mean over time?
From the Haitian, when you were studying Haitians in Canada, the US, and what else did you say again?
Well, that was looking at wage differences,
yes,
and earning differences, and what are the determinants of that, and how long it takes for these groups to potentially reach parity. And to me, that's clearly extremely important, because we know that remittance is really a big thing. It's a big part of, what's holding Haiti. And I think we could do even more if we were more economically on better footing. As much as we're helping Haiti, unfortunately, Haitian as a whole group earnings is really lagging behind other immigrant groups, and there are many reasons for that. We know we're not really the ones engaged in the, self-employment situation, and then we already have, coming from Haiti, a big situation with differences in education. Many of us are not as educated at a level to adapt to the market here in this country. So we find ourselves in the low wage thing. Although because we immigrants, we're very entrepreneurial. Like, I have my aunts who've done low wage and who still manage to have two homes, to purchase, and to be renting, and to become landlords. So we have ways of sort of debrouilling, but as a group, we're still really lagging very far behind other immigrant groups from the Caribbean, certainly Cubans, certainly Jamaicans, because of differences in our education and income. So, like, there is a bit, perhaps a fallacy to think that, you know, Haitians are doing so well or so highly educated. I think there's been differences. That's something we found from the 60s when we were political refugees. We were running. Political refugees tend to be better educated and have more, potential to make money. But now we are really sort of economic immigrants, and that sort of pushed because of economic situation in our home country. So that's something we really need to think about when we're thinking about wealth building strategies, a real agenda on how, immigrant groups like Haitians can actually build wealth.
I'm gonna Daphne, I'm gonna give you one more question. But I just wanted to do a follow up real quick. Just literally today, I was reading an article about philanthropy in Haiti. So people who does non-for-profit work in Haiti, and the person was arguing that non-for-profit work is technically harming Haiti, and to some level, I completely agree with what they were saying. But
Mm-hmm.
the author states Haitians has a
I need to
poverty
find it.
and dependence mindset. I was personally taken aback by that. What is your personal opinion? And Daphne, you can share your opinion about that as well.
I think that it's been shown that foreign aid, I mean, Haiti is like the capital of nonprofit organization. We have more nonprofit organization per capita than any other country in the world. And as you can see, there isn't really a lot of results. And there are many reasons for that. First of all, when we're talking about a true economic growth agenda, it cannot come from like small initiatives, small projects. It comes from solid institution and government in the country, that's creating stability, that's attracting, investors, that making things, safe for people, and, that's providing the right infrastructure to help a country actually develop at 2 digits level, which is what Haiti needs now. So now any no non, single nonprofit organization where I don't even know how much now for every dollar, because they have all type of overhead, for every dollar, I don't know how much actually goes into projects in Haiti. I don't think we can expect, we tend to make this mistake thinking, oh my God, we're going to develop Haiti, with any little $1 million from an organization. Those are very good. They make a big difference in people's lives, especially, for example, if we go and we have microfinance for women, it's been proven that can just really have a big, multiplier effect and really make a difference in those people's lives. But true economic development is not going to come from nonprofit organization, because it's just not really the determinants of economic growth. If you sort of look at the model, which is what the economists would do, what are the determinants of economic development and economic growth, and nonprofit organization per capita doesn't have a strong, significant impact.
Thank you for your feedback.
But
Yeah, follow up about the dependence and poverty mindset later on, maybe if we have some time.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to, like you were talking about us doing, and, me being an, you know, uh, helping people. That's something that's very important for every citizen. We have to give back, so I've been involved in supporting education access in Haiti, and these are important for kids, but I really cannot pretend that's going to be what would create sustainable economic growth in the country.
Well said. Any additional question, Daphne?
um Well, yeah, I have a lot to say on that topic, but I don't want to go on a tangent.
Yes.
I'll just say that it's complicated as far as the whole non-for-profit in other countries, especially American non-for-profits in other countries, and it's not as simple as people think as far as just like, you know, this organization's there. Like you said, it's going to solve all the problems. It takes the country, it takes, you know, a coordinated effort for all the nonprofits in, you know, we're talking about Haiti right now, but for all the nonprofits in Haiti, there's no central area that, you know, lists where they are, what they're doing, how it could be a coordinated effort to get, you know, certain things done. None of that's being done. So if everybody's doing their own thing, how can that be effective? It helps out the individual who's helped that day, you know, and we're grateful. You know, I'm grateful for that. But I think, like you said, for a true lasting impact, there needs to be some type of coordinated effort, and it's more than just nonprofits in the country. But I didn't want to go off of it because I said I know I could talk about that for a minute, but because a lot of people have different opinions about it. But I want to ask you, you know, about your just kind of pivot a little bit, because I love this information, you know, talking to you about the economics, and you already gave me a lot of food for thought tonight. But I want to pivot off and talk about your YouTube channel. So all three of us,
Yes.
I have a YouTube channel. Daphnée has a YouTube channel, and now you have a YouTube channel. Can you tell us a little bit about it, and then also make sure you tell us the name of it so people can check it out?
I'm showing it right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
great.
yeah, any search under Maude Toussaint
Oh, cool.
would
Okay.
probably sort of get someone to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
But it's called a mod thing.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Yeah, so clearly it's a mod thing, it's an expression that means something that's sort of a little bit interesting or perhaps
Yeah.
even, unusual. So as I was saying, so the YouTube channel is really, it's providing more than people think, perhaps, because before all, I wanted to normalize the idea of, cultural production from Haiti, you know. And so because I have benefited and my kids have benefited from sort of an artful living with all the great art from different schools in Haiti, Haiti's art is just so rich. You have the Saint Soleil schools, you have the modern schools, you have masters of like world level. And over the years, it's been important for me, as a way to support the country. And later I found that's been very useful, for my kids, etc. So my channel is, talk about Haitian art and basically normalize that. And every so often I'll just put Haitian cultural elements in it, whether it be the music, and always mentioning and referring to, the vetiver, because, in fragrances. So I also talk about fragrances. And since I turned a certain age last week, I've developed a series. I began developing a series on look. And it's really as much for me as it is for other people that I think, oh, okay, they're in a certain age. There are certain, ways of perhaps dressing. And I think just because I'm a natural researcher, like almost everything I do, I research because I've always been researching the arts and the aesthetic around it. And I find that fashion, fragrances, all of that is part of the aesthetic that someone sort of live in. So essentially, it's just like any lifestyle vlog, except that, I bring the Haitian cultural elements to it, to the world. I'm hoping.
Sure. So I would encourage everybody, who's watching now and also on the playback to go ahead and subscribe to your channel. I will definitely subscribe to your channel as well. It's called A Maude Thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
And
I don't know.
happy
YouTube,
birthday.
I changed the name later, but YouTube search engines still like Maude Toussaint. And clearly I have tons of economics work under Maude Toussaint, I
Yeah.
was trying to separate those two elements,
But
but you
not
could
yet.
still like Maude Toussaint.
Oh, it's a,
It doesn't
You're
necessarily
more
like a Maude
popular there.
Toussaint.
no, but definitely, we'll definitely check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
definitely
really
the
love that.
link.
But the most important thing is I have a playlist of of my trip to Haiti,
Okay.
because I go to Haiti with my kids. I mean, we send our kids to Haiti on vacation. My kids have visited 7 departments in
Wow.
Haiti by the time they were 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So and so we always go on vacation there. So I have a playlist that is vlogging Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
where clearly I show people how to party in Haiti.
I did not see that.
Hang around, eating conch on the beach and stuff like that. And then not too long ago, I went to Puerto Rico. I also vlogged that. And I have this thing called Spend the Day with Maude.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's
Somehow
wonderful.
I pretend that people want to know what the heck I'm doing as a mom. Seriously, most vloggers are like, skinny, white girls and stuff. I feel like I have a voice as a mom, as a professional,
Of course.
as a Haitian. And I'm like, why not spend the day with Maude? And it's mostly Maude running to pick up her kids, but somehow people are still interested in watching that.
I saw it. I really like that sweater your daughter picked for you. For
Oh,
the tour.
yeah.
I saw it. Yes. Mhm. I
Yeah, thank
told
you.
you this conversation was from 8 to 8:30, and because you have a vast of knowledge, we were very interested in what you had to say and share with us and our audience. And now it's almost 9 o'clock, and I am so grateful for you, the information that you've shared with us. And I don't know. I think we're gonna have to let you go and for your time. Daphne, do you wanna add any final question or anything else you wanna share with us? I had a fun fact question. So the fun fact question is, what is maybe a fun fact about you that maybe most people may not know about?
I seriously, just because all my laundries are out now. So my fun fact is usually, did you know that, I'm an economist, but I'm also a YouTuber? But I think my fun fact is really, I'm kind of cheating a little bit because it's kind of my husband fun fact. Like he's an economist, but he does a great impersonation of Maurice Sisto. So that's my claim to fame.
That's it
And
from
he's also writing a book on Maurice Sisto, but he does an amazing Maurice Sisto. Like sometimes he goes to talk about some serious economic issue and people are asking him to do some Maurice Sisto.
That's funny.
Thank you so much once again for being with us. Um, a inspiration for not only the Haitian community, but for anyone who's watching this live right now and who may be interested in your career path. So we appreciate you sharing your knowledge and sharing your truth. And we are asking everyone to please go ahead and subscribe to a mod thing and YouTube. Look up Maude Toussaint, and then so I'm sure you if you go to YouTube and you put Maude Toussaint, you'll find a mod thing as well. Any final thoughts, Daphne?
No, just thank you so much for coming. This was a great conversation.
Yes.
When time flies when you're having fun. So thank you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with you guys. I thank you for the great work you are doing. I think having this type of conversations are just so important. I watch you guys, so I was too happy to join you tonight.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. So
Sure.
continue to watch us, share the live, and then you never know. Maybe I'll knock at your door soon enough and say, let's come back and have another conversation. Have a
I'm
great day.
totally open for that. I'm open
Oh,
for
wonderful.
that.
Or continue success in all your endeavors. Thank you for being with us.
Sure. Thanks.
Oh, yes, to all my audience, thank you for being with us. We were having fun. Um, Let us know, is there a woman in your community that you consider to be a pioneer, someone that you want us to interview, to for them to share the story with us? Or let us know a Haitian woman in history who did amazing thing that you want us to talk about. Let us know in the comment, reach out to me or Antoine Camilien, and we'll be sure to feature them. See you all next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. This has been Live and Conversation. Bye for now. I'm Daphnée Winnie Antoine with my lovely co-host Daphnée Camilien, and my professional spotlight, Dr. Maude Toussaint-Comeau. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.